star 5 again is hand up, so I see Les's hand is up.
Hi, Larry. I can hardly hear you. Is your mic on full way?
Yeah, can you hear me better there now?
I still can't hear.
Okay, just Andrew's gonna look at some stuff. Yes, my mic's on though.
Because I had no trouble with any other meeting hearing.
Is that what you're also looking? Yeah, the same thing.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, good then. Yeah. Cherie, do you have a question?
No, it was good. But I'm getting major.
You're getting major feedback again?
Cherie, you're breaking up quite a bit on us here.
Is that better?
Sounds like it so far, yeah. And I see
It's better? Okay.
Councillor Grover is just connecting now. He'll be in momentarily.
We'll have a full house.
Full house.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. As we said, star 5 is the way to put your hand up. We did in the last meetings. Okay, Councillor Nyberg.
Mr. Chairman, I'm under the understanding now that I think the town is actually having their meetings face to face. They're doing social distancing and keeping it under 15 minutes or 15 people. I'm just wondering if maybe we should look at something along that lines going forward. I think we've pretty much flattened the curve. I'm not so sure. I'm just getting the feeling that it's time maybe to start moving and opening up a little bit. I think we did our part, but I'm as one councillor, I'm not worried about it, but just thought maybe we should have that as an agenda addition to have some discussion around it.
Oh. Is there any other additions? Where would we put that, Andrew? It's agenda approval, 3 is bylaws, 4 is in camera session, and 5 is adjournment. So yeah, you did.
I'll just
2A or 3A or something like that.
Why don't we call it 2A?
We'll put it as 5 and discuss it before the in-camera session then. Okay. Councillor Stolberg?
I will move the agenda with the additions.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor, star 5. Carried, unanimous. Thank you. We're into 3 bylaws. 3.1 bylaw 1634-20 land use bylaw amendment for first reading and to set to public hearing. Page 3 of the package. You're muted.
I'm all for in-face meetings. If I could have Jacinda speak to that, please, Mr. Chairman.
Bylaw 1634-20 is a proposed amendment to the land use bylaw to allow a communication antenna and structure within the Hamlet Commercial District. So we have a request for such a structure in the Hamlet Residential and Commercial District. So we are proposing that we amend our Hamlet Commercial District to allow the use of as a discretionary use. So it would be section 93 of the county's land use bylaw. And also proposing that a public hearing be set for May 13th, 2020. And we have attached to the bylaw the district, Hamlet Commercial District, which shows the use as discretionary. And on section 52, it does give all the provisions of conditions that would be attached to a permit for such use. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacinda. Is there any questions?
Questions of administration first. I see James.
Questions to administration? Councillor Nyberg?
So, Mr. Chairman, through to Jacinta, have we got our land, the land files back on this one?
And no, we haven't. They should be back on Thursday. Elizabeth was
So, okay. The only thing that I'm wondering here is, after reading this, public, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't know about changing our bylaw, but I'm not sure we have to go through all the rigmarole. I'm just hoping that we haven't, somewhere along the line, gave them a permit already, and then we're going to look kind of silly, to be honest. Is there a way that this could have went under the public or private roads and utility? Like, is telecommunication considered a utility under planning? Could we have give them the permit under that guise? I'm just wondering. That's all I'm asking.
Sure, and it's a good question. We do have the use specified in our land use bylaw, and it is on various districts within the bylaw of communication, antenna, and structure. If we didn't have that use specified, we could have likely put it under the public and private utility. But being that it is a use described in other districts, we would have to be consistent and add it as well in this district.
So I guess what I'm saying is, what's your gut feeling? Did we give them a permit already in that land file? Because like I said, it's going to look pretty bad if we don't wait to get the land files back and we've given them one, or they've applied for one and we didn't deal with it.
20 years ago, approximately, from what I've just some communication with the applicant. So unfortunately, we don't have any digital files that I can refer to.
I thought they had said that they had applied for one already. The reason they went ahead was because they had already applied for one and they thought the permit was in place.
My initial conversation with the applicant indicated that yes, they had applied a year ago. But when I did I had spoken to several different representatives, and right now we're dealing with Scott Telecom on this issue. So they have not been able to trace any records of a previous application or.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to elaborate sort of on Councillor Nyberg's train of thought here, is that the bylaw amendment can stand alone from this particular issue we're looking at. This is really whether council feels that it's appropriate that a communications antenna or structure could be considered as a discretionary use in Hamlet Commercial throughout any of our Hamlet Commercial District.
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, Ernie.
Okay. Yes, the one concern that I have is the insurance on it. How do we guarantee that they have liability insurance on that? It's the difference between having it in a hamlet versus having it out in the country. So I'm just kind of wondering on that part of it. Thank you.
Realistically, the liability of the private structure doesn't fall on the county at all. There's, your three normal tests for liability all fall upon the actual construction and maintainers of that tower. As well, towers are also regulated by Industry Canada for radio communications, including the location of the radio communications facilities. So while we don't really have a way of ensuring that they do have it, it's outside of the scope of what we're really even entitled to seek.
Can we possibly make sure that we do have a copy of their insurance on file?
Yes, further to Andrew's comments, yes, they have submitted it's NAV Canada that has the jurisdiction over the towers. It's been replaced Industry Canada, no longer, I guess everything was transferred over to NAV Canada. So they have submitted their application, but the application is on a voluntary basis. So they aren't required to obtain the permit, but I'm still in communication with NAV Canada whether some clarification on, because they are recommending that they register the tower. So in the future, we may see where it becomes a requirement. So the application that was submitted would give them what is required to bring the tower into compliance with their legislation and their height. And also in our land use bylaw, there are the provisions for the anchors, what's required. Although it doesn't relate to the insurance question, it's something that ensures us that the tower is built to the guidelines provided by NAV Canada.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the county side is covered. Thank you.
Councillor Nixon?
I would like to move first reading and to set the public hearing for the next council date.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nixon. Councillor Neitz?
When I'm looking at this, I do not see if there's any setbacks away from dwelling units. Is there anything that goes along those lines?
The setbacks that are in our Hamlet Commercial District would also apply, as it is a structure. So yes, we don't have any. You're looking under section 50. Where are you looking
52.
exactly? 52. Yeah.
I'm looking under 52, yeah.
Right. So they don't have it in that section of the bylaw because this could be installed at any location, right? So it would be more applicable to look at the actual district, Hamlet Commercial District, to have the side yards. So it's 5 feet from a side yard, but this may change. So we have to, and also the front yard would be 25, and the rear is also, I believe, 10 feet, because it's considered a structure, not just it's a primary use of that. Well, actually, there's a building on the site as well. I'm going to have to look into it more, Cherie, because
sorry, I was just going to jump in. 52.4 does specify that the tower base shall be set back from the property line by a minimum of 20% of the height of the tower. So that does specify an additional setback, and you would take the greater of the two setbacks between that and the actual districting.
20%. So that is my concern. Building a tower close to home.
So you've got this tower now that they decided to relocate. They've got all the footings in the ground. There's no way they're going to meet those setbacks. So you might want to do the bylaw amendment and then do I think it's Monday morning, a variance. Yeah. which doesn't set good precedents, guys.
Yeah, I mean, passing the land use bylaw amendment to allow it within a hamlet commercial just specifies that you guys agree in general with that type of a use in hamlet commercial. The applicant, regardless of the current circumstance or future, are still required for either complying with the other provisions of the bylaw, including setbacks, and or seeking variances. Additionally, we're proposing discretionary uses for a tower. It is appealable. If there are neighbors who feel that it's too close or unsightly or what have you, they could come back and make those arguments, or MPC at the time of considering the development permit could consider additional measures as they find necessary to make it comply and fit in the surrounding area.
One of the concerns when I drive by and I look at it is that if we got a strong north wind and it topples, it would be on the highway. That might be a major concern to Alberta Transportation. The other thing is all that overhead power, and that thing topples, or it's going to wipe out a pile of power to residents and nurses. Where the Natico Tower sits out at the water transfer site, and of course it's all underground power out there.
Yeah, so those are all concerns.
Go ahead, Jacinda.
I can contact NAV Canada because those guidelines were brought in by Industry Canada, and just ensure that those setbacks are still in force. Although it's relevant because it is in our bylaw and we haven't amended it, but I just want to confirm that those are still in effect, those minimum setbacks.
Could I suggest that maybe you give it first reading, and then any changes or any new information we find out, we could bring back on the 13th, May 13th.
Okay, sounds good.
Councillor Nyberg, then Councillor Gender, and then Councillor Grover.
So this is, Mr. Chairman, are you there?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Okay. So this is a bylaw to allow to have communication antennas in the hamlet residential. This has anything to do with this particular tower, and I think we need to be very cognizant of any discussion around that right now, because this particular applicant is going to be coming to us in the near future. They have started a project with ahead of schedule without getting the proper guidelines in place. So that's not our responsibility. We're trying to make it so that they could have this, but doesn't mean that this is the right place. Whether they started or didn't start is none of our concern. Whether they're following guidelines before they get a permit, again, not our concerns. Our only concern is from a planning position is to be able to say, are we going to allow to have communications tower inside our hamlet district? That's where we're at on this. So the other minutia of the details coming forward on any specific application will have to be dealt with on their own bearing, has and should not have anything to do with this particular land use bylaw change. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Nyberg. Then we've got Councillor Gender, please. Go ahead, Ernie.
Okay, like I still do have the concern, okay, with when I see these structures out in the country and they like the size of anchors that they have. So is this going to be a freestanding structure? And then if it is going to be requiring anchors, are those anchors then also have to be set back from the I guess the boundary lines on it also? That'll be it. Thank you.
Just to speak to the anchors, if it is an anchored structure, it does require an extra setback, but the anchors have to be set back the same distance between the tower and the guy wire anchors, or the 20% of the tower height, whichever is greater. So there is the anchors are included in the setbacks, I think, appropriately under the current bylaw.
it would be nice to see, like, when they do come back in, applying for their permit, to see the way they are going to place this on their property and make sure that all our guidelines are going to be followed. Thank you.
That would be part of the permit process, though, Artie. Okay, Councillor Grover. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, Mr. Chair. What about, did we not pass a bylaw? I'm not talking hamlet, nothing. In the county of Stettler, which the hamlet is, did we not pass a bylaw that I actually brought to the table and we voted on? It was dealing with the development at the lake, but before they start, are they not supposed to have their permits in place? Hello, am I?
Yeah. Hi, Dave. You know, you're absolutely right. Like, that's what we stopped them. Like, we noticed that they were constructing or doing construction, and we went looking because none of us knew anything about it. So we went looking for their permits. We did find out that they hadn't done their homework, didn't have their permit in place. They are trying to fast track it. They tried to hide behind the fact that with the COVID, this was a essential service and this tower needed to go up right away. We said no, that you have to apply for the bylaw amendment. You have to come and get a development permit. Like this morning, all we're trying to do is help them along by getting the bylaw amendment going, by giving it first reading. But the actual development permit will come to you on Wednesday, and I think a lot of these questions could be answered by them when their development permit is presented to MPC.
Okay, that's fair enough. I was in for the anchors too. I wondered, like Ernie there, you know, the setback should be wherever that anchor's placed. From there out, that's your setback.
Right.
Thank you.
And also when they get their notice of decision, they have conditions to meet. And I'm going to stress upon them, because they're phoning me and emailing me today, that they're not allowed to start until they have their permit in place and every one of their conditions are met. So they're looking at minimum 21 days from Wednesday, and it could be longer if they don't meet their conditions.
Are there any other questions or concerns? Because if not, we have a motion from Councillor Nixon to move to first reading and set the date for the next council meeting for hearing. Seeing none, I'll take it to question. All in favor? Okay, and opposed, Councillor Nyberg? Oh, Councillor Nyberg? Hello, James.
I've voted 3 times now in favor of it.
Oh, okay, because it didn't show up till right now, so okay, it's unanimous then.
It said my hand was raised. The English lady told me so.
Oh, so you were waving it in the wind. It was blowing it over before it got here, James.
It must.
Okay, so that's carried. We will go to 5, which is what Councillor Nyberg brought forward in regards to face-to-face meetings. Do you want to speak to that, Councillor Nyberg?
Mr. Chairman, I've been talking to some of our counterparts around. Many of them are actually still having face-to-face meetings, keeping it under 15 people. I'm just finding that a lot of times this gets to be a very stressful event, not only for us, but for staff, people getting on, people getting off, people not being able to vote, people that are voting. It is a very complicated thing, and I understand we're under that situation. But like I said, it sounds like the majority of our counterparts are actually face-to-face. And I'm not sure if staff feels comfortable with that or whatever, and I don't want to put anybody out. Considering that we have had 4 cases in the county of Stettler, 3 of them are recovered, and I think we've done a pretty good job. I'm just wondering what everybody else feels. I would feel better with face-to-face meetings, and it just seems to work a little bit better. Not everybody is fully technically savvy, and it might work out a little bit easier that we have a easier time of making things happen.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nyberg. Councillor Stillberg? Go ahead, Councillor
Yes, I think I'm on the same page with Councillor Nyberg on this. I think by May, I think we should be able to meet in person, face-to-face, because we all pretty much know each other, what our travel plans are and things like that. And I think, there's more than 15 people when you go to the grocery store. There's more than 15 people when you go to PV Mart or any farm supply places and things. I mean, we're dealing with people anyways, so I really have no problem dealing with people I know. I don't know a lot of those people in those places, but I know that our council are from our area, and I would feel comfortable. I think it might be easier to do business in face-to-face, especially if we have a large agenda. So I'd be comfortable with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stillberg. Councillor Neitz? Go ahead, Councillor Neitz.
One of my thoughts are, I know if the town is having theirs, they have a room that's 3 times bigger than ours, and they can safely social distance from everyone. And if you're having a meeting with lots of people in there and then still using facilities and whatnot, I think we still do put ourselves at a little bit of risk. Not everyone is totally staying home. We still have to go about our business and do our regular business too. Like Les said, you have to go to the grocery store or whatnot, but we're not really using the facilities there. You're going in, you're grabbing your stuff, and you're leaving. So, and my other concern is our small office space that we have, our council chambers. It's not that big. If we put everybody in there that we need to have in there for a meeting, I think we can still do it at least for another month. Some kind of, I know maybe technology is a little bit harder, but there are some ways that you can video conference people, and maybe, that's just my thoughts for at least one more month.
Thank you, Councillor Neitz. Councillor Grover? Go ahead, Councillor Grover.
Yeah, I'm in for having face-to-face. I think that we don't have to even go through the front door. You can go through that exit door on the north side, and you get 6 meters apart. Yvette's about the only one that has to be in there. You're going to video the thing. They can make up like you don't need Marlene in there. She can look at the video and make the minutes up. So there'd only have to be 7 people in there. Or, 8, I guess. Yvette. If you spaced them out, I think there's 6 meters between everybody. Thank you. That's my input. Mute me.
I think we could evenly space council out. I guess if we have councillors that don't feel comfortable, then they could still phone in. We would have to limit staff in here, but I think along the council table we would just have council present. And like right now we're sitting at least 6 feet apart, right around the council table. We could either move Marlene to the back, or she could do it off the recording. So if you had a question that required input from other staff members, you may have to get that to us a little early so we can make sure we've got that, but we could limit what we're doing. Also, the public's still not allowed in the building, so public participation wouldn't come from inside this building. It would come from teleconference or video or something like that. Yeah, staff can conference in too if they wanted to. So.
Yeah, if I can speak to that a bit from the technical side. We have measured out the room, so to speak. We can definitely comfortably fit 10 in here with social distancing in place. So that does cover our 7 councillors, myself, Yvette, and Marlene for recording. and then that way we can still have the stream going for public participation. We can have staff following along on there, and then as well we can conference staff or any counselors or any other resources that may need to be in. So yeah, it's certainly well within the realm of doable. We do have a set of guidelines that we're following, published by AHS on working through COVID in non-medical workplaces. My only request would be that council review and consider and adhere to that document so that you're following the same sort of regimen that our staff is here. But it's nothing you guys haven't heard drilled into your heads a million times by now. So.
Councillor Gender? Go ahead, Councillor
I
Gender.
believe a lot closer. When I went into PV Mart yesterday, there's a little spray bottle there. You just kind of spray it on your hands. By all means, I would like to see some disinfectant coming in, because the main ones that we do really have to protect are our employees or Yvette's employees with the county. We've got to make sure that they really feel safe within their own environment, because we just come and go. Thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments? Councillor Nyberg, you brought this forward. Do you want to put a motion forward? Yes, that would be a start date too, if it would be May 1st, or if it would be MPC, or if it would be our next council meeting, or when that would be.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, we went into this social distancing or this teleconference meeting without a motion. I'm not so sure we need one, but I would make the motion that we, with proper advice from administration and proper social distancing adhering, that we start to have our meetings in person again on whatever date it is. May the what's our next council meeting? Not, and I'm fine with the next MPC going that way, but whatever the next date is.
That workshop.
Do you have that?
Yeah, sorry, James.
What's
we have
that?
We have that workshop, which is basically council to council meeting for the ICFs with White Sands, Roshan Sands,
That one
and Big Valley.
That one we might want to keep teleconference for ours as well, because those councils will be calling in teleconference, and actually the chair of that will be Craig Teal, our planning consultant. So it may be more appropriate to put us on a level playing field with the other councils.
Okay, so then we could either try MPC this Wednesday at 1 with face-to-face, or we go to May 13th next council meeting.
What do you feel most comfortable with, Yvette?
I'm good either way.
Okay, let's make it this MPC Wednesday. Let's make it face-to-face meeting, if that's okay with everybody. And just a note, one of the other reasons that the technical ability for someone to teleconference in via video into the county, they just have higher internet capability than I do out here. I can barely see anybody on Zoom. I have a hard time having a Snapchat conversation, video Snapchat with my grandkids. So I can understand how video conferencing can't work out in rural Alberta, but in the county, I think there's ability to just have a more face-to-face meeting, even with people that are calling in. So.
Okay, Councillor Neitz, you have your hand up. Go ahead, Councillor Neitz.
Can I just make a suggestion and start at May 13th, a friendly amendment?
Councillor Nyberg, do you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Forcibly unmute James.
Councillor Nyberg, I think you're unmuted now.
there's my example perfectly. I would prefer that we just, this Wednesday, let's get her done. Let's start right away because, I don't know, I'm ready to get back to work, so.
Okay, with that,
I don't think it's a hard to do for the county administration, is it, Yvette, to start on Wednesday?
Oh, we can start anytime.
Okay, so let's make it Wednesday.
Councillor Gender would be the next one.
just sorry, before we move on, that not being accepted as friendly, the question should go back to Sheree whether she'd like to make the motion and vote on it as an amendment.
Hey, would you like to make a motion and vote on that amendment, Sheree?
I don't want to make this into a big argument, so I was just thinking the 13th, because that's the regular council meeting, because we're going to have to do a phone call in for May 1st anyway, so for our ICF, so.
Okay. Councillor Nyberg has come back again, so maybe.
Councillor Nyberg, you're still unmuted.
So part of the thing is I'm thinking that if we got together as a council on is it Friday that we're supposed to have this ICF? I'm not sure how the technical end of this is going, whether we're going to be the hub of this teleconference or somewhere else is going to be the hub of the teleconference. It would make more sense to have all of us as one whole council to be able to discuss this issue as a one phone call in instead of, everybody having 7 different phone calls in. So I'm even suggesting this Friday come along that we come as one council. Wednesday can kind of be our practice meeting and make sure that we can social distance. And then Friday we get together. And then if there's something that needs to be discussed as a council, we can mute them and have that discussion, and then we can go on. That's just my suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
If
To Andrew, please.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd just like some time to look into the one for Friday, just that it's a little bit different and it's a meeting of 5 whole councils. And if I can report back to council on that and that decision can be made perhaps on Wednesday, and we'll pull the trigger then as to how we're going to meet on Friday. I just want to make sure that we're not stepping on the village's tools and looking like we're trying to monopolize the time, and I want to talk to the chairman of that meeting, which would be Craig, and see that he's fine with that.
I also believe that you're going to see other councils in their council chambers in one unit calling into this teleconference. So I think there is an advantage to that.
Mr. Chairman, am I still unmuted?
Yes, you are.
So I know that Big Valley, they get together as one council as well. So I'm not sure about the summer villages. I know the town, Stettler, they phone into their teleconferences as one. I know on the RMA resolution committee, there was many councils that phoned in just as one. So that seems to be kind of the trend anyway. So I'm however that works. So, but I'm just saying that way we're in one location, we can have any discussion that we need to have and then go from there. I'm not sure what the other councils are doing, but I do know Big Valley will be phoning in as a whole council from their facility. So.
Yes. Councillor Gender? Go ahead.
I find the ICF with both summer villages to be very important. I believe that we should be very much getting together, and so that we can have the conversations much more easily amongst all of us. See, like especially like with our council, and like James was saying, we can mute them, but I would like to be able to have a very open discussion within our own council and not miss anything out. Thank you.
I would prefer to get together as our council too to go into this because it's a pretty big piece. But I'm comfortable with making that decision firm on Wednesday once Andrew does double check to make sure that it is fine with the chairman and all. But that would definitely be my preference if we could get it to go through that way. Thanks.
Okay. So the motion said for the MPC meeting, and does that allow us still for you to come back to us on? Okay. Is that okay with you, Councillor Nyberg, as putting the motion forward? That we follow back that once James has talked to Craig. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I have no problem with it. I'm just making that suggestion for sure. So
okay.
If we have to change a meeting going forward that it doesn't work out for people, I mean, anybody's able to phone in at any meeting right now if they wanted to. Like if somebody didn't feel comfortable to come in, that's cool. I do have to get a haircut and shave, but that'll be a process. So.
Hey.
I heard that a bit.
Yeah.
Or a set of sheep shears, one of the two.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Star 5, all in favor? Opposed? Councillor Nixon and Councillor Neitz. So carried. Yes, we need a motion to go into camera under section 25. Councillor Nyberg.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we go into camera under section 25 of the FOIPA.
Okay. We are in camera here. All in favor? Okay, carried, unanimous. Thank you all very much, and I guess we'll see everybody's smiling face on the 29th. Thank you.